Hi guys, welcome back to Normalize the Conversation. My name is Francesca and I'm here today with Lindsey, a fellow mental health advocate, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about anxiety and she's going to share her story. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to share my story and tips that help me overcome my anxiety, because I definitely have tried so many. So I'm so excited to, get to share that with all of you and, get to interact with you guys too. Sorry if you hear cats in the background. I have a new kitten and I've tried to quarantine them, but you may hear some cat fighting in the background. So I'm just so you guys know, I'm sorry about that. But I have a new kitten. He's fine. He's just a little feisty. So you may hear him jumping on my other cat. And my other cat is just a little grumpy. So he's just a little more vocal, but he's not hurt or anything. So don't worry.
That's so exciting that you got a new kitten. Oh.
Yes, I know. It really brought some light to, the whole quarantine thing. And I wasn't really planning on getting a new cat. But I live in an apartment complex and we have a lot of feral cats. And my neighbor's trying to control that. And she's like very into cats. And so she's trying to trap them and, do all of that. But this one cat had a litter of 5 cats, and I knew the mom because I've been here for like 3 years. And so I've known the mom. And so she had cats, and I was like, since I know the mom, I kind of want to have one of her babies. So yeah, now I have 2, and he's a little bit crazy, but let me close my door just so you don't hear him go nuts, because I think right now is his playtime, guys. But his name's Rudy. It's my kitten.
Aww.
His name's Rudy, and Mr. Bear is my older one. So
I love the names.
Do you have any animals?
I do. I have a puppy. Her name is Tiffany. She is my whole world. She's a little shih tzu. She's like 7 pounds, so she's very tiny.
So cute.
She's sitting, actually, she's not. Normally, she's sitting behind me napping, but I guess she got up. She's tired of hearing my voice today.
She's very well behaved, unlike Rudy, but
that's
so sweet.
She really likes to take care of herself. She's very like self-sufficient. When she wants water, she like brings me her food bowl. She's like, I want water. She wants food, same thing. She knows like which bowl to bring. So she's very good at like, she knows what she wants. She wants to nap. She knows where she wants to nap.
Yeah.
She's very well behaved. I don't know where she got it from.
I love that. That's so good. She has good genes. She had a good gene pool. But yeah, I love animals. They've really helped me even with my anxiety too. And it's funny because when I first started having anxiety, I got a cat because I'm a cat person. So I got one in my college town because I started having all of my anxiety in college. So I got a cat and he helped me so much. I lost him last year, unfortunately. But he, oh my gosh, if I didn't have him, I don't know if I would have gotten through it as easily as I did. But yeah, animals are just amazing for healing. I love them. They're so sweet.
They are. And I feel the same way about my dog. I got her during my, I think, last semester of undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was living alone for the first time, like completely alone. And I was really nervous about it. And I was like, I feel like having a pet might maybe help me. And then I got my dog and we connected and we just clicked from the moment like we saw each other. Like it was meant to be. And she really got me through like some really difficult times, because if I'm having like a panic attack or a depressive episode where I'm just falling apart and I'm crying, she'll lick my tears away. And it makes me so happy.
That is the cutest thing I've ever heard. Oh my gosh.
Dogs and cats and just all animals are very intuitive, and they know how they have so much love for us, and they'll do anything they can for us. And I just love it so much.
I know. They really can feel that. I think it's amazing. I saw this video the other day, and it was the service dog that alerts whenever their owner is going to faint, but they know about like 30 minutes to an hour before. And I'm just like,
Wow.
how do these animals know? Like, even if they can sense like our heart rate dropping, like, how can they do that? That's crazy. Like, it's just amazing what these animals can do, and how they serve us. And I love them. I mean, who can't love an animal? They're just
Right.
so cute. They're precious.
And they're so smart. I don't think we give them enough
Yeah,
credit.
they really are. They really are.
So tell me a little bit about you and your anxiety and when it started.
Yes. So I'm 27 years old, but my anxiety started when I was about 21. It was in 2014, and I was a junior. I just started college, or just started my junior year in college. And I was in a sorority and all kind of the typical things. I had never experienced anxiety before this, or if I had, it was just very minimal. It was never heightened to such a level, so I never really was aware of it. Just like, normal nervousness and stuff whenever you would normally be nervous. And so never really had it before that. So 2014 hit, and something traumatic happened in my life. And I lived in a house with two other girls. And one of the girls was from my hometown, Austin, which is about 6 hours from my college town. So it's a long drive.
Yeah.
And it's on these like tiny country roads, not the safest place or safest way to travel. And so one weekend, it was kind of a popular weekend to go home. And I think it was Memorial Day. And I decided I wanted to go back home to see my parents. And my roommate had decided she was going to go home. It was actually her brother's birthday weekend too. And so she drove in a smaller car. And so I was like, well, I'll just go with my other friends because they have a larger car and they live closer to where I live. Because Texas is very spread out. If you're not from Texas, it's very, very spread out. So I went with a different car or a different group of people. And unfortunately, she didn't make it there. So she had passed in a car accident on that trip, and her brother had passed too. And it was crazy because we had left around the same time. We had seen her car kind of pass. Like, we weren't like traveling together, but we had like seen her car pass. And for some reason, there's like a split way in the road. I had to stop and use the restroom. I was like, we have to stop, have to use the restroom. And my other friend had to use it too. And so we went to the store, and that restroom was closed. And so we had to walk across the street. And during that time was when the accident happened.
Wow.
So if we didn't stop, I probably would have seen it. And I don't know what that would have done to my mind, because just not seeing it really flipped my mind, or my brain, and how it thought and how it processed things. So I'm so thankful I didn't see the accident. But that's kind of the time frame in how it happened. And then, so when we passed the accident, I didn't even know it was her car because it was so unidentifiable. Just how bad it was. It was a head-on collision. And so everything was just, there were so many ambulances already there. And like, this happened within like 10 minutes. So it was crazy. And then the next morning I found out it was my roommate, because the president of my sorority had called and said, this had happened last night, blah, blah, blah. And then that's how I found out. So I didn't even know it was her until the next day. And I went home, and when I got home, it's so weird. I got home and immediately told my mom about the accident. I was like, there was this awful accident. I've never seen something like that. Like, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. Not like, hi, good to see you. It was just like, that was the first thing. So it's just like weird how these things kind of happen. And then, yeah, from the moment I found out that that was my roommate, my brain switched. It did not think the same that it used to be. I was not the same Lindsey. And I didn't know why. It really freaked me out. I thought it was just like depression. I had lost grandparents in the past. Unfortunately, I lost all my grandparents very young. So I've dealt with death before, but not to someone so traumatic and instant, and someone I was just with that, the day before, and someone that looks like me and is the same age. And, it does something different to your brain when it's someone that you can relate so closely with. So, and I had never dealt with that before. So, and we don't really get taught how to deal with those things in school or anyway like that. Sorry, my feet are falling asleep. I have to adjust. So we don't really get taught how to deal with those emotions, or at least I didn't. So I just kind of let it happen, and I didn't understand why. And I could only handle that for so long, because then you start really experiencing those scary symptoms like DP and DR, and panic and agoraphobia kind of starts happening, and you build in those negative habits. And it's not your fault, but there are ways to get out of it, and things that can help you heal quicker and not develop bad habits if you kind of jump on it in the beginning. And so, but I just didn't have resources like that, and I didn't know what this was because I never had experienced it before. So that's kind of how I started, experiencing anxiety. For me, it was a traumatic event. For a lot of people, it can be things that happened in their childhood, and it can, kind of come up in their adulthood. But for me, it was a traumatic event that kind of sparked everything, and kind of started that adrenaline rush and the panic and the fears. And from then on, I feared living. I feared leaving my house, leaving my comfort zone. I started getting panic in the grocery store. I didn't know why I was feeling these things. I had really bad DP, and I thought I was going crazy because no one talks about DP. Like, I didn't even know there was a word for it until I looked up, the symptoms and really did some research, because it's not talked about, it's not normalized. And so it was reassuring when I found out that it was actually a thing and that there was a label to it. So yeah, that's kind of my back end story about how I kind of got into having anxiety. But yeah, for me, it was a traumatic event. So
first, I want to say I am so, so sorry for your loss. That there aren't words that can really make any of that feel any less painful. But for you to take that whole experience and the anxiety and the pain and everything you went through afterwards and turn it into being this amazing advocate who inspires and helps so many people, it's just absolutely incredible. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you. It's really the only way I can make sense of it too. Because people are like, how are you talking about it? I want to talk about my story so bad. How do you get there? And I'm like, you'll get there. You have to make sense of it. You have to use it for something. If you can't let it go, use it for some good. Because it's a part of me now. I can't take that back. I can't do anything about it. I'm here, and I'm lucky to be here. Kylie isn't here, my roommate, anymore, but I am here, and I can make a difference. And for so long, literally, Francesca, like 5 years, I would lay in bed and just feel like nothing, feel like life was so worthless. Like I could never change. I was 21 years old, and I felt like my life was over. Like, that's so sad. And I feel like so many people feel like that too. And I just want to show them that it can literally just take a minute, and you can just have an epiphany, and your life can change forever. It doesn't have to be like this huge, like, healing journey that you have to get on and start. Like, literally, I was driving one day, and I was like, I'm not going to let this control me anymore. It's over. I'm not living my life like this. I can't live my life like this. I can't end my life at 21 years old. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to let it happen. And I'm not going to focus on the anxiety anymore. I'm going to focus on me, because I was focusing every single day on my anxiety. And people are like, no, I am focusing on me. No, you're focusing on the anxiety version of you. You're focusing on your symptoms. You're focusing on why it's not working. What's wrong with you? What about what's right with you? What are you, what things inspire you? What things get you going? let's sit down and remember what life's about and how fun life was when we were a kid, and how when we didn't have all these like responsibilities and all this weight and anxiety and trauma and all this stuff to worry about, what did we think about? I always thought about teaching people, which is really kind of, it weirds me out, but it's really common for like little girls to like be a teacher. Yeah. But I like took it to the extreme level, and I'd print out like homework, and I'd print out a grade book, and I'd print out like all these little things like for my fake students. So like teaching was something I really liked to do clearly. But through my adult years, I let that just slide because I was like, I can't be a teacher. They don't make enough money. I can't be a teacher. I can't go to work every single day. I'm way too anxious to do that. I can't go to work because like I'd always make all these excuses for my passions. It's like, why am I making excuses for the things that I love to do? Like, it's so strange, but it's also the way society molds us to think. They want us to do certain things, and people want you to be certain things. And I think just being, growing up in that, in social media, oh my goodness, like I can't even imagine growing up with this constantly in your hand. But it just takes you so far from who you can really be. And then you throw anxiety on top of that, and you're like, who am I? Like, I don't even, I'm hearing so many voices in my head. Like, how do I even get back to who I was? And I felt so lost for so long. And then it literally just took being miserable and hitting rock bottom to be like, no more. Like, there's a way out of this, and I'm the way out of this. And we're not going to accept self-sabotage anymore. We're not going to accept it anymore. And yes, I have days where I doubt myself and I get down on myself, and, nothing's perfect, but you learn from that, and you learn ways to get out of it, and you learn that that's not really you too. And I think once people see the amazing things, and that's why my name is Amazing Anxiety, because once you can see the amazing things that you can do and that what you're here for, anxiety isn't scary anymore. Like, it brings out the amazing parts of life that we just kind of forgot about because we get so lost in day to day, if that makes sense.
Okay. I love the reason behind your name on your handle on Instagram. That's absolutely amazing. It really is. And I love how you brought up that it's like when you realize you have the power within you, because I think that's something that a lot of us who live with mental illness or have episodes with our mental health where we kind of feel like it's controlling us and that we have no control, we have no power. And that moment when you realize that you do have the power, that all the strength you need is within you to overcome this, is one of the most powerful and empowering and just incredible moments, because it's when everything starts to change.
Absolutely. 110%. And the thing is, like, you always have that power. You always have that control. It may seem like you don't because your anxiety constantly tells you don't, or you feel out of control because you're depersonalized all the time and your anxiety and your cortisol levels are just so spiked. You just don't even feel real. But you are real. And you have to keep telling yourself and reminding yourself of that, and stop focusing so much on those symptoms and how things feel, and ground yourself back into, okay, like, I'm fine. These feelings aren't hurting me right now. I'm here. I'm safe. Let's just think about what's happening in my body right now. And it really helped me. The first time I ever knew what anxiety was my doctor. Like, the only helpful thing my doctor told me was anxiety is an adrenaline rush. And he taught me that adrenaline or anxiety was a natural thing. It occurs in our body, but normally for very dangerous situations where we need it, we need that extra boost. Like, if someone was stuck under a car and we saw that, we could run to them and magically pick up that car. It's because we have all that adrenaline rush in us. And so learning that, I was able to say during my panic attacks, okay, Lindsey, this is just adrenaline. Your body thinks you're scared or thinks you're in danger, and it's just adrenaline. So already just that would calm me down because I could identify what is causing this. I know that doesn't really help many people because they're like, yeah, but you still feel it. Yeah, but you can put facts to it and not put like a story that you're making up in your mind. Like, I have cancer and that's why I have this. Like, that's not a fact. That's based off of an assumption that you've made up because you are scared and you're acting on fear. So when you're acting with a more realistic mindset, and you ground yourself and you actually sit down and you think logically why these things are happening, it makes a lot more sense and it calms you down. Because when you're in an anxious state, you actually can't think logically, or it's very hard to think logically because the part in our brain that's firing off when we're anxious is not the decision-making part of our brain. And so it's hard to make logical decisions when you're not using that part of your brain that makes decisions. So it's just learning ways to calm yourself down and self-heal. That really, really helped me. And just start small. You don't have to jump into this big, overwhelming thing. And I think that's also something that deters people is they're just like, I have so much work to do. I don't know where to start. And just start small. Just little tiny things. Like, I really don't like journaling. So I didn't start with journaling. Start with something that gets you excited. Start with something that interests you, that piques your interest. If visualization does that, start looking into that. Or a lot of people don't really like to meditate, but like guided meditations are really great to jump into because you don't have to do it yourself. So just that would be another tip, is just start small and go to something that you're interested in, not something that someone's just telling you to do because it worked for them.
I love that. That's such amazing advice, because a lot of times we don't know where to start, and try to start at some of the coping mechanisms you see on Instagram or just from a Google search. And it usually is like journaling, meditation, yoga, go for a walk. And if that's not something that interests you, then it's kind of hard to do it and stick with it. And if you're not interested in it, you might not be excited about it. So it's not really going to work the same way. So finding something that makes you feel excited, that makes you feel strong, that makes you feel good about yourself, that gives you that level of confidence and security is something that's so important. And a lot of people don't realize that. There's not one coping mechanism that works, right? There's a billion coping mechanisms that may work at different times, and finding which one works and finding which one works at which time is super, super important.
Absolutely. And that's something I found really happened a lot in my journey. Is I would look online because I didn't really have like Instagram accounts that talked about anxiety. I don't know. When did you see them pop up? Because I only noticed them when I created something, like I created my account, but I never really saw them pop up until this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of accounts kind of stemmed out of the pandemic, but I also noticed the more you use the hashtags and the more you search and the more you like them, the algorithm starts to bring them to you. So it's really the way the Instagram algorithm works. And I wish that the algorithm worked that everybody got a couple mental health resources here and there, and it's not just you have to be looking for them and posting about it to see them. They really should have it that these resources and tools are available all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And because these hashtags get cluttered so fast too. And if you don't know which hashtags to look up, like if you're just trying to find some resources and you stumble upon Instagram, it's not like you know exactly what to search for. So I totally agree. Because on Google, like you said, they say like yoga and exercise. And when I was at my worst, there's no way I could exercise. There's no way I could do yoga. I was so scared of getting my heart rate up. Like, no way. I'm not working out. No. Like, that's the least. And I hated when people would just say, just go on a walk. I was like, that's going to trigger my fear even worse. Like, no, I can't go on a walk. So yeah, absolutely having these resources like Instagram and people that have just experienced it themselves and are giving out their resources and tools and tips that they've used themselves. I just think it's amazing. And I love our community and everyone's so supportive. And if you're watching this and you ever feel like, I don't want to reach out to them, I don't want to DM them because I don't want to be a burden, just DM them, because you never know. They may have something that may help you get over like your biggest challenge. Someone's DM me before and they're like, you've helped me more in this 5 minutes of talking to you than 2 years of therapy. So it's just reach out. You know, we people that have gone through it, we have little things that some therapists don't, you know, they don't know because they're just taught by textbooks. And if they don't experience it themselves, like, I don't blame them for not knowing what it feels like. Because like I said before I experienced that trauma, I had no idea what anxiety was like. If you said anxiety, I would have just thought you were just like a nervous wreck or something. But it's not that. It is way, way bigger than that, as we all know.
Yeah. And I love how you brought up that, you know, DM them, reach out to people on Instagram, and worst case scenario, they don't answer you. Best case scenario, they may be able to provide you with some resources that they found. And even if somebody does like respond to you and they give you something, it's important to note that it doesn't replace therapy. It doesn't replace medication or getting help or anything like that. It might be a tool, a resource, or advice that you can use in the meantime while waiting for an appointment. But please still make sure you reach out for help if you do need it. And also, another really great resource is the crisis text line or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You do not have to be in crisis to reach out. They will provide you with so many different resources. They can provide you with a list of 99 coping mechanisms. They can provide you with a list of guided meditations, breathing exercises. I promise you, I volunteer there. We have a list and access to a bunch of resources, and you do not have to be in crisis to reach out. We are more than happy to provide you with any resources, help you find local affordable therapists. Like, please note there's so many tools and amazing resources out there. And I think a lot of people feel discouraged because they don't realize that all these resources are available and they think they have to wait till they're in crisis to reach out. And that's not true.
Yeah, absolutely. I was listening to your last live, and I love how you mentioned this because, the name itself, Crisis Helpline, you're like, well, am I in a crisis? No, I'm not dying, but I am. But you just want to talk to someone, and that's what they're there for. That's what these organizations create these lines for. And people want to help. I'm not on here constantly creating content because I don't want to help people. I'm on here because I want to help people, and I want to share things that have helped me overcome challenges that I know other people are going through. And that's why people like you too, volunteer for these things, because we want to help and we're there for everyone. So yeah, absolutely. I know it's uncomfortable, but there's always I feel like there's always chat options where you don't have to talk on the phone. So there's other options where you don't have to talk or Zoom or like show your face or use your voice. There's ways you can, chat and kind of aim message in and stuff like that. So there's always options if you need to talk to someone.
Exactly. And on that note, there is the crisis text line. You can text the number 741-741, and also the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I promise if you can learn a TikTok dance, you can learn this number. It's 1-800-273-8255. And I think that's something that a lot of us do, right? We can spend all day memorizing the lyrics to a song or the dance for TikTok or whatever we're learning at the time. But we can also learn these really important numbers and resources, because just because you don't need it today doesn't mean you might not need it in the future. And just because you don't need it doesn't mean somebody you know won't need it. And it's really amazing to know those numbers on the top of your head and be able to say, here, text this number for help. Or let me text this number and ask for help. They can even provide third-party resources. So if you need help talking to your friend who has told you they're feeling down, they're feeling depressed, maybe they're feeling suicidal, and you want to have a conversation with them, you don't know how, they can provide you with the resources so that you can have those conversations. It's so, so important to know that you can reach out to these places for help. I cannot say it enough. A lot of people don't reach out.
Yeah.
And they feel uncomfortable about reaching out. They don't know that there's all those resources available, that it's not just crisis. I can't emphasize that enough.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also too, not only because it can be uncomfortable to talk about, past things or things that make us upset or uncomfortable, but we're in like a society where we think we can just get knowledge right away and we can just self-fix ourselves and we know everything. And we're a very know-it-all culture. And so I think we try to think we know it all about ourselves when really we need help from an expert when it gets to that level of really impairing our day-to-day life. That's when I knew I needed to reach out for guidance, is when it was affecting my everyday life. It wasn't just here and there when I was doing something where I needed adrenaline. Like if I was performing on stage, of course you're going to get a little bit of adrenaline rush right before, or anxiousness, but it wasn't like that. It was a disorder. It was affecting my whole day. And so that's when I really needed to seek out help. But if you're having any of those thoughts, or you're just like, I just want to talk to someone, reach out, because we're here and we want to talk to you and we have things that can help you. So why not? Also, something that's helped me is there's a free online resource called mentalhealthscore.com. And you just fill out, it's really, really quick. You fill out kind of how you're feeling that day, and it gives you an actual score. It's an individualized score to you. It's not like a 1 to 100 or anything like that. Like it's an individualized score based on the criteria you filled out. And then you can kind of reflect every month or quarter or whatever kind of, is your score going up? Is it going down in certain places? Yeah, you can kind of like gauge your mental health without having to go to your practitioner and kind of, because sometimes when you go to like a psychiatrist or even a general practitioner, they have you fill out this kind of criteria to see where you are. But you can do that on your own now with the mental health score. And they give you resources on how to cope and things like that. And in other ways, it's really, really cool. And then another app I like, so that's a website. And then there's an app called FeelMo that just recently launched this month. And it's something I've used kind of in the moment when I'm panicked or I just need like a little bit of grounding time to myself. And it's nice because you could do it in like a waiting room if you get anxious in a waiting room or something like that. And you just record like how I'm feeling right now. It kind of gives you like word or adjectives of how you're feeling, and you can just pick them, and it's really fast. That's what I like about this. It's not like 30 pages of like deep dive into your feelings that moment. It's like 2 little slides on the screen. It's super user friendly, and it asks you like how are you feeling in the moment, what may be triggering you in this moment. So you can it's kind of like a mini CBT therapy in your hand. So that's cognitive behavioral therapy, if you guys don't know. So it's just kind of digging into your thoughts and your feelings a little bit in that moment. And then you can always reflect on it. But it's kind of a cool little way to keep track of how you're feeling in your phone. And that's FeelMo, and it's free. So it's another really cool, very user-friendly app that's free that I really like.
I love that. There are so many amazing apps and tools out there that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Like for meditations, I use Headspace. I absolutely love it. There's also Calm. There's websites now and apps where you can get therapy. There's BetterHelp. There's Talkspace. There's so many amazing resources out there that are either free or very, very affordable, which is something very new because mental health has never been as accessible as it is right now. And although there's so much more room to grow and we need to get better in so many different ways, we've come such a long way. And I think a lot of people don't realize all the resources that are now available. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's finding what works for you. It's not a one size fits all thing. Unfortunately, I wish there was like a magic switch that you could just turn off anxiety and it's off. But we have to have it for those times when we need it. But just learning about it, the 3 things I would say that really transformed me in my healing. And so back to kind of my story, I struggled like for 5 years because I was on medication, and I was just like, I'm just going to let the medication do its thing and kind of feel better. But I never put in the time to work on myself. So I was just kind of floating along like, yeah, my anxiety's getting better. Hopefully, cross my fingers. I'm on this medication. Hopefully it's just fixing it magically in my mind. But it was keeping my serotonin levels balanced. So that was great. But when I got off of it, it all came back because I still had those habits that were in my brain. So when you have anxiety and you react to them, that reaction is stored in your brain as a habit, just like smoking, just like biting your nails, just like picking your hair or whatever your habit is. It's stored in your brain as a habit. So that's why it's so hard to overcome anxiety. And I talk about this on my page. And I have a quick video where I do an analogy on this, comparing it to like building a sandcastle. But it's a quick video and I think it explains it pretty well. But basically, whenever we're responding to anxiety, if we respond it by thinking, intrusive thoughts, if we're just like keep worrying about it, worry, that's our response. That's the way we're going to react to anxiety every time it comes up, because that we're programming our brain to react to our anxiety that way. So that's why it's so hard, is because it's literally concrete in our brain. Our neurons are doing what it was told to do. So that's why you may see all of these coaches and anxiety people saying you need to, first, it takes time, but second of all, you need to sit down and really dig into it and look into how you're responding to these things, because you're the one that's causing it to happen, and you're the one that's making it happen longer and just perpetuating that habit. So that's why people say that. And that made me so mad in the beginning when I was trying to get over my anxiety. I was like, I don't want it to take time. Like I had this overnight happen to me. Why can't it overnight just switch off?
Right.
But that's because, we build those habits. So, it just takes time, and we can rewire our brain. Our brain rewires itself every 70 days with whatever habits we've been doing those past 70 days. So we're able to rewire our brain. It's just, are we putting in the practice and the consistency and those positive, healthy habits? Or are we still self-sabotaging ourselves and laying in bed and believing our doubts and believing that our fears? And that just makes it those habits even deeper. And when you do those things, so it's pulling yourself out of that rut and doing it because you're making yourself better in the long run. I always have to remind myself this, like when I really don't want to do something, I am making myself better in the end. I am rewiring my brain right now. I literally tell myself that, like, I am pouring a new habit on top of that bad habit, because we can't live like that anymore. And it's okay that we did, because we can learn from it and we grow from it. I am completely 180% different than I was 5 years ago. And I am so happy that I changed. And you're completely capable of doing it yourself. And with the tools and with other people's guidance and with the support of other people, it's completely, possible. But to change your perspective, I think, is the first step. And believe in yourself, learn about it, and sit with yourself, and don't fear it. So those are my kind of my last three things, but on this tangent, but just learn about it. That's what really helped me, is learning about it, learning that it was adrenaline, learning about cortisol levels and how stress really, really messes up your body. And then I sat with myself, and I sat with these feelings, and I sat with who I wanted to be. And I forgave myself for not doing the things that I wanted to do in the past, like all of the steps I should have taken. Because I feel like a lot of us can be like, well, I wish I was healing the whole time, but I guess I'll start now. Like, no, let's not pity. Let's not pity on ourselves. So to just sit with it, forgive yourself, have a new perspective, and move forward, and don't fear it anymore. Just stop fearing the symptoms. It's not going to hurt you. It's anxiety. And just constantly reminding yourself that you can do it and you can get over it.
That is absolutely incredible advice. And
Mm-hmm.
I love how you talked about that you wanted a quick fix, because I think we all want a quick fix. And we all think that a lot of times medication is going to be that quick fix. And although medication can be such an amazing tool and can help balance you out, there are so many other things that you can do in combination that can really help you grow. And I think a lot of times mental health isn't just about balancing out your levels. It's more about growing and healing and overcoming it and learning that things that happened in the past are controlling you right now, and your body's reacting to it in a way that it has control over your mindset, over your thoughts, over your behaviors. And if you're able to understand that and process it and identify where those emotions come from and where those behaviors are coming from and why you feel that way, it can really help you grow and change and just transcend your limits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I also hear so many people saying, like, I just want to feel better. But shoot for feeling 1% better than yesterday, and then 1% better from the next day, and 1%. I feel like we want to just shoot from feeling like 0 to 100. Like, it's not going to be like that. Our bodies are full of adrenaline, and it needs to get out. We need to detox our body. And so, even my chiropractor, I went to a chiropractor a lot because I used to travel for my job every week. And so being on an airplane 5 days a week was really bad on my back. And I'm 5'9". So being tall in an airplane is not the most fun thing. And so I go to a chiropractor a lot, and he was like, Lindsey, you don't understand. If there's like a little bit of stress on any part of your spine, your whole body is not going to work the right way. So even like stress on your spine can cause you to feel, stomach aches, like the most random things. And so really, really learning to target stress and stress management and what works for you is so imperative, because you're going to need that not only right now, but your whole life. I mean, and I feel like we don't really learn how to manage our stress in school. We just get thrown into PE and they're like, just get all their energy out there. But it doesn't work like that for everyone. And so I think it's really helpful to find ways to manage your stress. And it may not look the same for, you versus me. I like to play with slime, and I'm 27 years old. So there's different things you can do to manage your stress, and you just have to find that and be proud of it. Don't be embarrassed about it. It's you. You have to live with you. You have to live with your mind every day. You're in your own mind. You're not in your friend's brain over there at the end of the day. And so don't be afraid of what makes you feel comfortable. I had this blanket that everyone made fun of me for having, and I still have it because I love that blanket and it makes me feel comfortable and I'm sentimental to it. So just, learning to be comfortable in your own skin again. And I know that can be scary because with anxiety, at least with me, I lost myself. I didn't really know who I was. So kind of finding those things and learning how to manage your stress will be so imperative. And it will help you feel better, because when your body calms down, like when physically adrenaline gets out of your body, you can take that breath and you feel it. You feel more energized. You feel relaxed, more grounded. It's physical. It's absolutely physical. So when you release all of that, it can be amazing. And I've learned to do that throughout my day. I don't just pick like a time, like from 5 to 6, I'm going to go meditate. You can do that if you're very strict and you like to have a scheduled day. But for me, I've learned when I schedule things like that, it stresses me out more. So I'm just going to, throughout my day, do things that are like self-care. And if I'm feeling a little overwhelmed in the minute, I'll take 5 minutes and just sit alone and, separate myself and do a little meditation. I don't need to schedule it in to do it, which I think has helped me too.
It's so important to realize that we can do these self-care and coping mechanisms at any time of the day. It doesn't have to be scheduled in. We can make the time. And it's really about prioritizing how much time you want to spend scrolling through social media or playing games on your phone or texting or whatever you're doing on your phone, and just taking those 5 minutes instead to meditate, to breathe, and to just focus on you. And Lindsey, you have been absolutely incredible. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you. We need to do this again. I'm so excited for you and everything that's coming up in your space and your new t-shirts and everything. That's so exciting.
Thank you. And we should schedule a live soon to do the encouragement cards. Yeah. So let me know.
For sure. I would love to do that.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And if anyone wants to reach out, I'm always open to DMs or anything like that, or comments on amazing.anxiety on Instagram. I also have a new website. So if you want to check out my website, you can go. It's very minimal right now, but you can also email me or contact me through my website too. So